Y'all, something happened yesterday that has shaken the publishing world to its core, and I just need y'all to sit with me and appreciate it. Our book, Genocide Bad, became the #1 best-selling title on Amazon in the category of History of Judaism and History of the Middle East. This is a fiercely anti-Zionist book written by an anti-Zionist Jewish author. It was commissioned by the only Palestinian-owned publisher in the US, Interlink Books, which is a tiny, independent, family-run press. And yesterday, our little indie pub book beat out every single Zionist book ever written in history, at least in terms of sales. We even outsold every single edition of the King James Bible, including the highest selling edition right now, which is this gift edition that has a faux pink leather cover. All those Christian Zionists that were buying grandma a new pink Bible for the holidays, we outsold them. Also, someone please tell Amazon that the Bible should not be shelved under History of Israel and Palestine. The Bible is not a history book. Most of the other books on the Jewish history bestseller list are just incredibly Zionist titles, like this one, For Such a Time as This, on Being Jewish Today, which is a new release about how hard it is to be a Zionist Jew ever since October 7th. It's this embarrassing, victim-obsessed book, Why the Jews, the Reason for Anti-Semitism, People Love Dead Jews, One Day in October, which weaponizes the grief of, people killed on October 7th in order to justify genocide. Another one about how hard it is to be a Jew and a Zionist, a book called The Genius of Israel, History of the Jews, a very Zionist text. But Genocide Bad outsold them all yesterday, and I need y'all to appreciate how this was such an accomplishment, how Zionism influences the publishing industry with enormous amounts of money and power. So in a minute, we're going to get into inside baseball. I'm going to reveal some secrets of how Zionists manipulate the publishing industry and bestseller lists to really dominate the publishing landscape, and especially the Jewish books publishing landscape with Zionist titles. But I'm going to get that video essay in a minute, but first I want to tell you how you can get your hands on a copy of Genocide Bad. Obviously, for this metric, I'm looking at Amazon because Amazon is the only retailer that publishes multiple times a day updates on best-selling books, including pre-orders. So right now, they're kind of the only site where we can see how is this book doing in sales compared to other things. Bestseller lists like the New York Times and USA Today bestseller list, they will only publish once the book is released, which is going to be March 11th. So all the pre-orders between now and March 11th will factor into whether or not the book hits those New York Times and USA Today bestseller lists. But Amazon, we can see sort of in real time, how is it doing? But I would love for you to not order from Amazon if you have other options, because boo Jeffrey Bezos. There's always going to be people who can only order from Amazon. I am working right now to compile a list of bookstores around the world where you can pre-order it and they can ship it to you in your region. If you go to simkern.com/bookstores, you're going to start to see that list populated. Now, it's going to take these bookstores a couple of days, some of them, to get that process set up for you. So keep checking back if you don't see your country represented there. If you're in the US, ordering from any local bookstore is a great way to get this book. Ordering from major retailers like Barnes & Noble is great. Bookshop.org, for some reason, only updates its catalog on Mondays. So if you're a bookshop.org buyer, the book will be up there on Monday. But listen, y'all can also, I want to make Interlink Books a lot of money. They had the idea for this book, and they're a lovely business, and I just want to fund Palestinian publishing. They get a much larger cut if you order directly from them. So if you're in the US, you'll find the first link in my bio will take you to Interlink Books website. And from them, you can order a deluxe special edition hardcover. They're the only people who can get you this. And everyone who pre-orders a deluxe special edition hardcover is the only way to get a hardcover. It's going to have sprayed edges, a bookmark, a beautiful, unique case wrap. And every single one of those pre-orders will be hand signed by me. You can also get the paperback through them, but you can also get the paperback through all these other retailers. Again, you'll find those links in my bio. Also, if you're a bookstore that wants to be listed as a bookstore where people can pre-order this and you can ship it in their region, there's a link on my link tree for a form you can fill out to get added to that list. Also, there's a link to a form you can fill out to request digital arcs of the book. Some people are like, oh, should we keep buying from Amazon so you keep being on the bestseller list? I wouldn't worry about that. There's always going to be baked in a certain number of people who can only get the book through Amazon. That can include like people affiliated with universities or schools or libraries that have like rules about they can only buy through Amazon. It can be youths who use their parents' Amazon Prime account to buy books. It can be people who, like, because of the region they live, there's nowhere else that they can get the books access from. So I don't worry about Amazon sales. If you can get it somewhere else, that'd be lovely. Now for the video essay. There are Zionist groups like PJ Library, this site, okay? Which looks at what Jewish books are coming out. And if it's a Zionist approved book, they will buy 25,000 copies of it and give it away for free to anyone who signs up to spread the message of Zionism. Sometimes these are like kids' picture books that just like talk about Jewish culture and traditions, but sometimes they're, very explicitly pro-Israel. In this interview with the Charleston Jewish Federation, a representative of PJ Library explains that, how they are a dominant force in Jewish children's publishing. A typical successful children's book has a print run of 5,000 to 10,000 copies. By successful, they mean landing on the New York Times bestseller list. PJ Library, in contrast, usually orders about 25,000 books at a time, giving it the power to effectively shape the market. And again, they're just buying these books, putting them in a warehouse, and then like giving them away for free to anyone who signs up. If you want a bunch of Zionist kids' children's books, you can go sign up. PJ Library has also offered annual Author Israel Adventures, basically birthright for children's book authors and illustrators, some of whom aren't even Jewish, but they take them to Israel, wine them, dine them. They take them through the Holocaust Museum. They take them to hear the stories of survivors, and they're just influencing these children's book authors to write books from a Zionist pro-Israel perspective. So a few months ago, I made a video on like, why are there so many books about the Jewish Holocaust, but there's, so comparatively few kid-lit books about other genocides? Well, this is probably why. AIPAC and other conservative Republican political action committees also do this for adult titles. If you've ever wondered why like some random conservative senator's memoir that was clearly ghostwritten called like Bootstraps and Business becomes a New York Times bestseller, and you're like, who are all the Republicans reading this guy's book? They don't exist. Those copies are being bought up by political action committees that, will place big, giant orders, spending sometimes almost $100,000 to ensure that, whatever Republican candidate it is gets that spot on the New York Times bestseller list and gets to call themselves a New York Times bestselling author forever. Now, the New York Times has gotten wise to this, and so now they place a dagger next to the names of anyone who hits the bestseller list through giant bulk pre-orders. But these packs have just gotten more savvy about that, and so they just shadowly, they just buy it sneakily now. They'll place orders at a bunch of different retail sites in smaller chunks, and they're doing the same thing. They're just getting away with it. With all this money on the table, if you write a Zionist book, you are guaranteed a spot on the best-selling lists, and you are guaranteed acceptance into a Jewish Zionist publishing apparatus that will market your book, that will ensure you are a success. Like me as a Jewish author, if I had just gone down that route and written some sad woe is me Holocaust historical fiction, we need Israel to keep us safe, like I'd be a guaranteed bestseller. And so many of us in publishing who have been vocally anti-Zionist have seen the doors of opportunity slammed in our faces this year, from Adania Shibli getting, her award ceremony revoked, from Viet Thanh Nguyen getting uninvited from events, and in a million other shadowy ways. Like, I was on sub this year with my nonfiction book, and not a single major top 5 imprint would touch it. I got some rejections that were so rote. It was just, and me being a bestseller author, it was just very clear from my sub experience, those traditional publishing doors were closed to me. And it's like, knowing I have this platform, look at the sales Genocide Bad has put up. Obviously, if anyone looked into my following, you could tell I'm someone who's going to sell books, but they actually and so I was like, are they putting Zionism over profit? But I don't think so. I think it's still profit, because they know as long as these editors and imprints stay on Zionist good side, that's a cash cow that they can keep milking for the rest of their careers. But I hope all those chicken shit Zionist publishing professionals can eat shit this week, because we're outselling the Bible, baby, to the moon.